Okay. In the middle of the crowd. In the middle of the crowd functioning. We not too cool to be amongst the people. We're not too good to be amongst the people. All right. Yeah, that's a small gym, bro. That's like, that's like not even high school status. Let's take a look at listen to the tele.
Look at that setup. That's not an arena.
That gym is barely big enough for a high school game, and yet somehow Caitlin Clark manages to walk into West Virginia and makes a Butler Bulldogs tournament game the single most desirable ticket in the entire state. We are looking at a top WNBA star sitting on the sidelines inside what honestly looks like a community rec center. All of a sudden, that becomes the most discussed basketball game happening anywhere on that day. The phenomenon known as the Caitlin Clark effect isn't just maintaining its momentum, it's pushing into new territories that have literally never shown interest in women's basketball until now.
Well, look at what we have here today at the Greenbrier. Just a couple of Miss Iowa basketballs 20 years apart.
Anna O'Neal was Miss Iowa basketball? That's pretty lit.
O'Neal, the great Anna O'Neal of Iowa State, and Caitlin Clark, of course, her long career at Iowa, that terrific journey, becoming the Division I all-time league scorer. But I'll tell you what, you were a heck of a shooter in your day, too.
Hey, okay, I never thought I'd be on a...
Allen Catholic, she, of course, from...
Oh, McCaffrey playing.
Here's the plan for his game. You've got two winners of Miss Iowa basketball separated by 2 decades. And the television crew is framing this whole thing like it's some kind of reunion special, because this is simply what Caitlin Clark does now. Whenever she appears somewhere, the entire broadcast production morphs the center around her. The announcers aren't just giving her a quick shout out for being there. They are actively constructing the broadcast with her at the core. From her days at Dowling Catholic to her time at the University of Iowa. And now with the Indiana Fever, her entire career arc has become must-see TV. It doesn't even matter if she's actually on the court, but this is the detail that makes the moment so important. This is not a WNBA function. It's not even a game for her old college team. She's just a spectator at a Butler matchup in West Virginia, and the media covers it like a presidential visit. That is the insane degree of cultural impact that we are witnessing.
Yeah, we got to check out Caitlin Clark in this new Chris Paul commercial, making an appearance, getting the commercial lit as usual.
Home, auto, State Farm this.
Mascot Jake. So hey, little guy. Tell me, you're retiring? Oh, it's Mascot Jake. So everyone says you're gonna.
Oh, the cameo. It's lit. It's lit. It's lit.
Is it true? You can tell me.
Oh, is this metal?
Are you going to retire?
Are you retiring?
Want to help with the auto, home, want to help.
Oh, puppy. What's your name, little guy? Tell me, you're retiring? Oh, it's Mascot Jake.
That's fire. Caitlin Clark taking over the State Farm commercial. It ain't even Chris commercial no more. This is a Caitlin Clark commercial.
And then there's State Farm.
Let's talk about State Farm. You need to watch this ad very carefully, because what it shows is something the WNBA has been desperately trying to achieve for decades. Caitlin Clark isn't just making a quick appearance in Chris Paul's new commercial. She isn't playing the role of a supporting cast member added in for the sake of diversity. She is standing right beside one of the most famous NBA athletes in the history of advertising, and she is getting equal screen time. The whole bit with the mascot's beak works because the company is betting heavily that Caitlin has the exact same level of immediate name recognition with their customers as Chris Paul does. Just take a moment to consider what that really implies. State Farm doesn't make these kinds of calls on a whim. They have all the market research, they conduct the focus groups, and they possess the data that shows who really drives engagement with their audience. They analyzed all of that information and concluded that Caitlin Clark earned co-star billing with CP3. This isn't just WNBA hype, this is mainstream corporate America declaring that a female basketball player is a worthy investment.
We have to move on to this right here. Kamilla Cardoso is officially Project B. It's starting to get sticky. It's starting to get real interesting. I'm starting to become afraid that there's not going to be a 2026 WNBA season. Although I still have hope because I feel like there's too much on the line for the owners and the players for there not.
All right, so now we have to discuss what is going on while Caitlin Clark is dominating State Farm ads and gyms in West Virginia. Project B just dropped an announcement about 3 new players, and the main attraction is Kamilla Cardoso from the Chicago Sky. She's a 6'7" center from Brazil in her 2nd year, and she's now signed on as a player partner and an owner in a brand new league that is clearly setting itself up as a head-to-head competitor with the WNBA. You have to understand that the timing of this is no accident. The WNBA is stuck in the middle of these intense CBA negotiations, with the players demanding a larger slice of the revenue. The league is scrambling to find a way to build on the massive Caitlin Clark surge, and Project B is just circling overhead, snatching up key talent while everyone else is looking the other way.
They grab Li Ming, and they also grab Janelle Salone. So here it says from Project B, building the global game with global talent. Player, partner, owner, Kamilla Cardoso, Brazil-born, global stage, all power, pride, and championship energy. Player, partner, owner, Li Ming, Chinese star. Global motion. Oh, they said motion. Okay. Leadership, precision, and clutch every time it counts. Player, partner, owner, Janelle Salone. French roots, global future. Rising star energy, taking the game to the next level.
But this isn't just about Kamilla Cardoso. Project B revealed 3 new players on the same day, and you have to appreciate the strategy at play. They got Li Ming from China, they picked up Janelle Salone from France, and they grabbed Kamilla Cardoso from Brazil. This is not some random assortment of athletes. It's a meticulously planned global expansion. Project B is making it crystal clear that they aim to be the worldwide alternative to the WNBA. They aren't trying to out-American the WNBA. They are focused on being more international. They are assembling a league that can establish its legitimacy in China, France, and Brazil all at once. That's a marketplace the WNBA has been attempting to penetrate for many years. And Project B is pulling it off by making these international athletes more than just players. They're making them actual owners who hold equity stakes. The term you keep hearing from them is player partner owner. That's not just some clever marketing slogan. It represents a complete overhaul of how a professional women's basketball league can function. These women are not just drawing a salary, they are becoming stakeholders. And that completely alters the entire equation of how the league expands and who reaps the rewards of that expansion.
Is coming. A Kelsey Mitchell announcement is coming. A Maureen Johannes announcement is coming. I'm wondering who else is going to get announced here in the near future. We see Diana Taurasi and Cynthia Cooper now follow Sarah Spain. They're going to be doing some sort of work in it. A touch more with Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe. They are being followed. Maybe they'll be doing some official coverage for Project B as well. This is all interesting, man. There are so many more announcements to come out about this thing, but in the midst of the WNBA CBA negotiation, this is crazy.
And on top of that, you have the entire media foundation being erected to support Project B. You have legends like Diana Taurasi and Cynthia Cooper who are now following the league's official social media. Sue Bird's name is being tossed around as a possibility. Sarah Spain is also connected. These are not just some retired athletes trying to find a new gig. We're talking about the most authoritative and respected figures in the history of women's basketball. And they are all starting to connect themselves to a league that hasn't even finalized its game schedule. That fact alone should send a wave of terror through the WNBA offices. Because the thing Project B is creating isn't merely a league to compete with. It's a whole competing ecosystem. They aren't just signing the players, they're also signing the commentators. They're bringing in the analysts. They are constructing the very media machine that will give everything they do an air of legitimacy. The WNBA has poured 30 years into earning credibility with the mainstream sports world, and Project B is attempting to bypass that entire journey by simply hiring the exact people who established that credibility to begin with.
Absolute madness. And the WNBA has to just be frustrated at this point.
Kamilla Cardoso. Hi everyone, Kamilla Cardoso here. I'm really excited to finally announce that I'll be joining Project B, being able to travel, getting to know new places. This is such a blessing that I don't take for granted. I'm also super proud of being able to represent Brazil, and I can't wait to get it started. Let's get it. Hi everyone.
Wow, just listen to the way Kamilla Cardoso describes Project B. She isn't just thrilled about getting to play basketball, she's talking about the travel opportunities. She's talking about getting to represent her home country of Brazil on an international stage. She's calling the entire thing a blessing. That is the kind of language you hear from somebody who finally feels appreciated in a manner they've never experienced before. And that is the real danger that Project B presents. The issue isn't just that they're offering a bigger paycheck, even though they most likely are. It's that they are providing something the WNBA has consistently failed to deliver. A genuine feeling that these players are creating something together, instead of simply being employees in a league that belongs to someone else. WNBA, you have to get this figured out. The fact that Ling Meng is speaking in Chinese during her official announcement video perfectly captures what Project B is aiming for. They are not just making promotional content for American viewers. They are producing material that will resonate in global markets with an identical level of quality and respect. The WNBA has athletes from all over the world, of course. But can you remember the last time you saw a WNBA promo that was explicitly designed for the Chinese market first and the American market second? That's the key distinction. Project B sees international markets as their primary focus, not an afterthought. And here is what makes this whole scenario so dangerous for the WNBA. They are deep in CBA negotiations that will likely shape the league's very future. The players are demanding a larger portion of the revenue, while the owners are attempting to juggle expansion plans with staying profitable. And while all this internal conflict is happening, Project B is busy building an external option that carries none of the WNBA's historical baggage. Project B doesn't have a past of low player salaries to justify. They don't have a reputation for seeing players as interchangeable parts. They aren't haunted by decades of questionable marketing choices. They have the luxury of starting completely new with a player ownership model that makes every single signing feel more like a strategic partnership than a simple employment deal. And for the WNBA, the timing is catastrophic. This was supposed to be their victory lap. Caitlin Clark just powered the highest-rated season in the league's existence. Attendance numbers were smashed. Merchandise sales went through the roof. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark created a rivalry that went far beyond women's basketball and became a major sports story. Every single thing the WNBA had been striving for over 3 decades finally clicked into place in 2024. And now they are on the verge of throwing it all away, because they can't finalize a CBA deal while a rival league is actively poaching their talent with a superior business proposal. Think about the situation this creates for the players. If you are Kamilla Cardoso, you're a second-year player for the Chicago Sky, a team that ended up at the bottom of the league. Your long-term prospects in Chicago are shaky at best. The WNBA is giving you a salary that forces you to go play overseas during the off-season just to earn a comfortable living. Then Project B shows up and offers you not only a salary but actual ownership in a league that is billing itself as the next big thing in women's basketball. That is not a tough call to make, it's a no-brainer. And here's the reality about sports journalists and media coverage that the WNBA must grasp. That entire story is changing as we speak. 6 months ago, Project B was just an interesting side story. It was seen as a rival's attempt to compete, something people were keeping an eye on but not really considering a serious threat. Now Diana Taurasi is connected, Sue Bird is being mentioned, Kamilla Cardoso has signed, and international superstars are coming aboard. The media machine is being built. At what point does Project B transition from being the other league to the alternative league? Because that is the critical shift the WNBA has to be worried about. The second Project B is seen as a viable alternative instead of a fringe operation. The entire balance of power is upended. Go back and watch that first Kamilla Cardoso announcement video. She is not apologizing for departing the WNBA. She isn't trying to justify a difficult decision. She is celebrating. She is ecstatic. She is acting like this is a major promotion, not just a sideways move. Now contrast that with how WNBA players often talk about their own league. There's almost always a tone of frustration. They adore the sport, but they are in a constant battle for better circumstances, better salaries, better treatment, and better media attention. The experience of being a WNBA player has historically been about fighting for basic recognition and respect. Project B is putting something entirely different on the table. They're presenting a league where players don't need to demand equity, because they're given it from the start. They're presenting a league where international stars aren't secondary but are core components. They're presenting a business plan that connects player success directly to league success in a way the WNBA has never pulled off. This stark difference tells you something crucial about the future of women's basketball. The WNBA held a monopoly for such a long time that it never truly had to fight for its players. Yes, overseas leagues paid more, but they couldn't offer the cachet of playing in the US. They didn't have the stability of a league supported by the NBA. They couldn't provide the media spotlight that is part of the American sports machine. Project B is aiming to deliver all of that, plus ownership. That is the groundbreaking part. They are not just competing on paychecks. They are competing on the very structure of the league. They are essentially saying that the old model for running a women's basketball league needs to be torn down, and they are building that new model from scratch. The WNBA's reaction to all this has been near total silence, which is arguably the worst possible approach. They should be making a lot of noise right now. They should be announcing their own new ideas. They need to prove to players that staying with the WNBA is the superior long-term choice. Instead, they're stuck in CBA talks that are dragging on for so long that players are beginning to doubt if a 2026 season will even happen. And that's where the real threat is. If the WNBA and its players' union can't agree on a new deal and a work stoppage occurs, Project B will be waiting in the wings to sign every single available player who wants to keep working. They will frame themselves as the league that saved women's basketball while the WNBA was too busy with internal squabbles to function. That would be an absolute disaster for the WNBA. They have invested 30 years in building this league. They have weathered financial struggles, empty seats, sparse media attention, and endless doubt about whether women's basketball could ever be profitable. And right at the moment, they finally achieve mainstream success. They could lose everything because they can't agree on how to split the profits with the very players who created that success. So it forces you to ask, was the old system even worth saving? The WNBA has worked under a system where players receive a comparatively small share of the revenue next to their NBA counterparts. The justification has always been that the league simply wasn't profitable enough to pay more. But if that system is so flawed that players are jumping ship to a competing league that offers ownership instead of just a salary, then maybe the system itself is the core problem. Project B is wagering that players will pick ownership over employment. They're wagering that international athletes will pick a genuinely global league over an American one that has international players. They are wagering that the media personalities who gave the WNBA its credibility will be willing to do the same for a new league if the pay and the structure are better. And judging by these recent announcements, it looks like those wagers are beginning to pay off. Kamilla Cardoso is not some fringe player. She was a top draft pick with a ton of potential. Lamonque is a massive star in China. Janelle Salarine is a top young talent from France. These are not athletes at the end of the line looking for a final payday. These are players who should be cementing their legacies in the WNBA, but they're opting to build them somewhere else. The WNBA has to wake up. Caitlin Clark taking over West Virginia and State Farm ads is fantastic for the league's exposure. But that exposure is meaningless if the athletes generating it decide they would rather be playing somewhere else. The league has to get this CBA done. They have to give players a compelling reason to stick around. They need to prove that the WNBA is still the #1 place for women's basketball talent, because at this moment, Project B is making a very convincing argument that the future of the sport doesn't necessarily need to involve the WNBA at all. And if the league refuses to take that threat seriously, they are going to remember 2024 as the year they had it all, and then lost it because they just couldn't get out of their own way. So this is my question to you. If you were a WNBA player today, would you stay with the league, or would you be giving a very hard look at what Project B is building? Because I don't think that answer is as clear-cut as the WNBA would like it to be. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you want to follow how this CBA battle unfolds, you better be subscribed, because this whole story is only just beginning.